Thinking about Junkanoo movements in the International Day of Dance, wondering if dancing in the spirit? Pause. Think about it with intentional thought and consider where we go from here. Stay tuned and hear what Darren, D-Boss, Bastian got to say today. We want to step into the heartbeat of our people, not just the sights, not just the sounds, but the soul itself. As an African proverb reminds us, when the body moves, the soul speaks. Put down that remote, that controller, or whatever it is you got, because you want to stay tuned, because you want to get your soul to connect with the journey, the spirit, the legacy, the truth. This highly energetic FSFN warrior giant Darren Bastian got to say today.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles.
Oh crap, I do.
Something to think about with Dale Happy Knowles. What we think, we become. What we radiate, we attract. What we imagine, we surely can achieve. Let's change the narrative, 242.
Welcome to Something to Think About. We're here today, and like you say, we got this big dancer on the screen with us, This, when I was growing up, they always tell me these people who could dance, I always had 2 and 3 and 4 left foot. But these people that dance they come on and they be moving so smooth and I'm like, and they said, but you used to be dancing on the baseball diamond. But why you can't dance on the dance floor? I said, well, I don't know. It must be because I think about it and they put that block in my head. But this man here don't have no block in his head. He got so much information, so much energy, so much knowledge, and he just sharing it with everybody he could give it to. He got a God's love. One love, how you doing?
All is well, my brother. All is well, man. One love, one love.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, I know these days going by dead fast, and so we want to thank our sponsors, Dom Dev Enterprises and Paget Investments, and all of those around the world who love to tune in to listen to us. And every time I seem to be finding somebody else from further and further and further away who watching, right? And my son up there in France, and they was telling me about some people who watch and what have you. And so
that's a good thing.
We getting there piece by piece.
Yes.
So D-Boss.
Yes.
You're highly charged, playful, and bordering on mischievous in my mindset. But I always say, don't let that fool you, because this come laddie, smart, insightful, laser-focused national builder. Yeah. And how you get connected like that, right? Because you got cultural activists, you got business professional, you're an entrepreneur, you're a Junkanoo leader, civic giant, mentor, family man, all kind of things. And but they call you the chairman. So I guess that means something. You got to tell us about all them different things. So let us know, what makes you connect?
What makes me connect? Well, let's talk about connection with people, right? I am one of those people who grew up in an environment where it was incumbent upon me, it was ingrained in me to love and respect people, regardless of where they quote unquote sit or stand.
Okay.
Simple respect for people, and I think that is one of the things that has propelled me thus far in my life, because at the end of the day, we are all just people. We breathe the same air, the same blood runs through our bodies. We're not, no one person isn't better than the other. And for me, it's really about being humble. Yes, we all have our way, but, there's this thing called respect. I have 2 sons, and I thank God for them every day. But one of the lessons that they learned in their village or their community, their village, is that even if you may be at odds with a man, be brave enough to say, really, I don't, our energies don't connect, but I have to respect you still, because you are me and I am you, human, right? And, I think that has been one of the things that has helped to, I guess, expand my range in many respects.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That energy,
Yes.
all that, everything evolved from that energy.
Exactly.
That coming deep down inside. We can talk a little bit about that, dancing
Right.
with this in the spirit.
Yeah.
Right? And when I was growing up in Junkanoo and stuff like that, they used to tell me all kind of stuff from the fella, over the hill on the other side kind of thing, you're always on one side and I was on either the top or out there in Chippenham kind of area. So, we didn't get to blend as much other than when I went Nassau Street and the like. And, that was my boundary. It's like,
It's a
you weren't supposed to go
different
past
kind of
the
energy.
opposite. Yeah. But, back then also used Scorpio. You should remember Scorpio.
I remember,
Scorpio
hold on now. I ain't as old as you,
No, but Scorpio. I know you know Scorpio. Scorpio teach me how to whistle because I used to come to play in basketball on the park, Yall Park, and in Mason Dishon for the tournaments and stuff. And the white boy kind of thing they used to call me. When I was on the baseball field, that's what they call me. And when they call me, but you got to teach me the whistle. They say, now if you ever separate, you need to know this whistle because you ain't get out of here
Right.
without the whistle.
Right.
And I said, boy, these the times, boy. This how you learn, right? And that's the blend how I blend, right? Cool. All right. So let's ask this first one before we get run out with all kind of stuff. You don't need to be full of it then. What do they, and this quote, and I need to put up the quote. Let me find the quote for you real quick. Bob. Let's go right here. Yeah. When the body moves, the soul speaks. So what do they mean about this?
I'd put it the other way. When the soul speaks, the body moves. I'll tell you why I say that.
Okay.
Because for me, being involved in Junkanoo is a very spiritual thing. And it is for me, it's when my soul rejoices, then my body has no option or no choice but to move to reflect that which I am feeling. And that is how I would respond to that. I'd put it the other way. When the soul speaks, the body definitely has to move.
Awesome. And folks, now we're talking about this fella now when we talk about moves, and you see how he just flipped that and put that in perspective from his perspective. This a man who got all kind of accolades, and we always talk about bragging rights on Bay Street and stuff like that. I know how much face he got, but I stopped. But
Enough.
So much so that they put him in one Hall of Fame thing. I forget what they call it, but something.
Yeah.
Right? So.
But ironically, if I may call you happy in this forum.
Yeah, man. All the time.
Ironically happy. I don't dwell too much on things like that, right? Because, I guess that's for man, right? And I guess in many respects, that is something that somebody or a group of people bestow upon you. But at the end of the day, what really matters is how the relationship we have with the man above, or in another space, you and I would call it somewhere else, the supreme being, right?
Right.
Has, and really our relations with people, because you may have people who bestowed so many honors or accolades, but then they don't have love in their heart. They don't have joy in their soul.
Right.
Their spirit ain't alive. So for me, it's important that once we are grounded in a particular way and we can relate to people on a deep and personal level or dimension, so to speak, then those are some of the things that really, really resonate with me. So the accolades are okay, and I'm thankful for them, but they don't define totally the person that I am.
Right. And I guess that's why you and I connect so much on some of these things, because I don't follow them either. So much so that growing up playing baseball and stuff like that, anything I got, I gave it away. Because I wasn't interested in seeing nothing on the shelf. I figured they only collect dust and get in the way and all that kind of stuff. But OG told me a couple of years back, just before COVID kind of time, he said you should have kept them because don't look at them as, just dust ornaments and stuff like that. But people, look at them that the people were showing you respect for what you shared for them.
Right.
And that was their way of showing respect. So, so from then I started thinking about it a little different, which is what we all about in the show here, is to think about it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we talk about just now the quote and why do people get into this frenzy, right? So, what does the frenzy do to your well-being, though? Because I know for baseball, when you get in the zone, that's a serious thing. So, what is it like in Junkanoo when because you have to be in the zone to rush? To me,
wow,
I did it half of one time and then reached a whole lap, and that was it. Couldn't carry the toss to the man gave me. It was too big. I gone home.
So, for me, this is how I view Junkanoo, and I had an opportunity to I had a conversation with somebody some time ago, and Junkanoo for me is a spiritual journey, so to speak. Because every time I get to Bay Street, particularly in that area, I can't remember. I think it's George Street, where Christchurch Cathedral is.
That's George Street.
That's George Street. And when you walk out of George Street, you run directly into Vandu House. Right. So honestly, every time I go to Bay Street, I feel as if I am surrounded by the ancestors, because if you know the history of Vandu House and what happened there, you can't think, but you can't imagine, that they aren't there. They have to be there, and because they gave us an opportunity to celebrate this beautiful thing called Junkanoo, which is more of, and for me, a spiritual connection than the parade we celebrate. What you see on Bay Street is more of a celebration of a celebration of the manifestation of Junkanoo. That ain't Junkanoo itself. So Junkanoo for me, and I can get to your question, is really a celebration of who we is, right? And why we come. And so when it comes to that frenzy, for me, it's a big celebration with the ancestors. I am here and I could do this because you all paved the way for me to do this.
Right.
And some of us are here and may not necessarily understand or connect in that way. So the frenzy for me really is an outpouring of love and appreciation for them.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So what it does, you say it drives the spirit, or the spirit drives you, but
it puts you in I can speak for me. It puts me in a space of completeness. Completeness is what it is, because there's this real connection between body and soul and mind, right? So it just puts me in a spirit of real completeness and connection. That's what it does for my and the stresses that I may have getting to Bay Street, I don't have them anymore, because now I am in this space, and nobody can take that from me.
Right. It's cool, and that's something like what Batman and Robin was talking about in the game last night.
What's that?
In Golden State, it's called Steph Curry, Batman, and Jimmy Butler, Robin now.
Right.
And they was talking about getting in that space where it would allow Buddy to actually perform when all year long he was struggling. They had him playing outside of himself, right, doing stuff that he wasn't naturally gifted to do.
Now, the ironic thing though about the term you use, outside of yourself, right? Because
outside normal self,
when you get into that zone, you're not the quote unquote person that you were. You're operating in a bigger realm, a higher realm.
You are in your true self, because you don't have no thoughts, nothing blocking you to keep you back, and this gal can look at me that way, or this fella here, or whatever situation. No, you just being you in your best self.
Plugged in.
Right. Yeah, that's what we call it. The zone. Cool, man. All right. So, you also subscribe to this scripture, and I want to know the connection of the scripture, because if somebody really see you just as a slice, as Martin Gladwell say, a slice of your life and stuff like that, they won't even know how you could connect the scripture to yourself, right? And that's why I said earlier that, don't mind the playfulness and the stuff. There's plenty depth behind that, right? And you see it when you get into areas where you need to see it. So when it's time to play, you play, and when it's time to get serious, you dead serious. Dead serious.
I like to play, but then when it's time for business, let's roll, boss.
Yeah, cool. So why do you identify with this scripture? And where the scripture go? Bam. Why you keep dropping you? Why you drop you for?
A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before the great. Wow. Let me tell you something. We are all born with certain unique talents, certain ability to do things easily that some others may not necessarily be able to navigate to say as easily. From birth, God gives us talents. He gives us opportunities to be, just the word he used, great. So the gifts that he gave me and he gave you, right, makes room for every journey that I have to travel in my life, every road that I have to travel, every opportunity that I have to explore. That's the gifts that made room for me to do that. Right. Even when there are challenges, I use my gifts to get over those challenges. They ain't gonna beat me, because if I meet it, I can beat it.
Yeah.
And that's why I connect with that.
Awesome. And that goes right in line with what we were just talking about a little bit with Buddy, right? And when you are in your gift, and like I say, Buddy's gifting is the shooting. It ain't about running around, dribbling around past everybody and trying to create defense and stuff like that. That's not his gift. His gift is that pure shooting. I watch him shoot 100+ 3-pointers in Kendall Isaac gym.
He has the ability to connect the ball with the rim.
Right.
From wherever he is.
Net. Ain't no rim, no nothing. 100 shots. Net.
Think about that.
That's
a lot of
easy
physics,
to do.
That's a lot of physics,
Yeah, but that's his greatness, right?
That's part of his gifts, right?
And so what I'm saying is, last night they allowed him to get back into his greatness. He started out the season in his greatness, and then they struggled, and so they asked him to do all kind of things. And this is my theory as to why he struggled, and why he struggled. And another thing is that he's too nice, right? He don't know how to tell people about themselves and whatever and stuff like that. Yes, coach. Yeah, you want me to run from here to Jamaica and back? I can do that. Right. Some things you just gotta tell them, or just do different and ignore them. But
I watched with interest this. Well, I started last night, and I watched a bit of it this morning. It was a Netflix program on. I can't remember the name of it. Cheapest. I don't. Anyway, that ain't my gift, right? Right. There was a program on, and it really spoke to. It centered around horses and racing and the derbies and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And they had this. A part of it was there was a Bahamian in there, right? Fascinating guy, right? Fascinating. But what I want to talk about particularly were the jockeys.
Okay.
Because jockeys are hired by the trainers and the owners and whatnot. And there was this famous jockey. The trainer was trying to tell him how to run the horse. So he just stopped the trainer mid-sentence, said, "Don't worry about it, I got it." In other words, and that's in Bahamianese how I put it. But he just stopped and said, "No, don't worry about this, I got it." He was telling it, so in indirect, he told him, "Listen, let me do my job. This is my gift, not yours."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. So Grandstand roots run deep, you know.
I'm sure no pun intended on roots, but go ahead.
No. This the real roots, not that roots, right? We start off with one love, you know, only one love, close to one family, so that's bam, 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 right? I'll tell you a story about that one day, but you know, I didn't take up the mantle, take up the challenge that was given to me, but that's fine.
I got you.
Yeah. How did growing up in this area shape you? As you touched on it a little bit earlier, but the area now, that's your family and environment that you spoke of, but the area, how did the area?
That's the community that helped to shape and form me, right? Nurture me in many respects. Clearly, I grew up in that area, but the Grandstown that I grew up in is not the Grandstown that it is now, because families were, everybody really, particularly through our corner, everybody literally knew each other.
Right.
You know, you couldn't do one thing on one side of the corner and, you know everybody didn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I understood the value of family. I understood the value of sharing. I understood the value of caring for those people around you, right? And, you know, one of the things I always say to people, you know, and to this day, I still subscribe to it. What I have isn't mine to keep.
Right.
It was a blessing for me to share.
Right.
You know, and I still live my life that exact same way, because we ain't taking nothing when we go, you know.
Yep.
You know, and you
Spirit.
know,
That's it.
exactly. You, the Lord gave you something. Listen, share it. You know, and you know, there's so many lessons I learned that Grandstown community. And those were some of the ones that continue to resonate with me, you know. And, you know, and truthfully for us, we never understood this concept of poverty, right? I never understood the concept of poverty, because your pocket don't make you poor.
Right.
It's your approach to life and how you manage what you have. Right? So yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, you ever read the book called The Rope? It's one of those small book on Mason Weaver. Yeah. Former them people name who was dressed up in black and thing. But anyway, Martin Luther King them era. Yeah. Later that the Black Panthers, yeah. Anyway, so dancing in the spirit. Can you describe what feels like when you're deep in the flow of Junkanoo Rush?
I can't.
Because people see it, they hear it, but a lot of people don't. If you're not to Junkanoo, a lot of people don't understand the feeling, and you can get a feeling in the fans, in the bleachers, but on the parade, it's a different story. And like I say, I only been there once, and I know what that little bit of thing felt like, but that costume just was too big. I was like, no, I came home.
And I hope this analogy isn't off base, right? But you can't explain to somebody, if you try to explain a kiss to somebody, right? A kiss to someone you love, right? If you try to explain that to somebody, you would fall short of the feeling. So if you say to me, how do I describe what it feels like when I'm deep in the flow of a Junkanoo Rush? I can't explain that. It's a kiss with somebody you love emphatically, but unless you were kissing that person, you can't explain that.
Okay, so you explained it well just now, because when you're kissing somebody that you love, I seriously doubt that you feel any pain or any strife or any
euphoria,
this or
right?
any that,
Totally
right?
Euphoria.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a good example you put there. Bam, bam, biggity bam. Cool. All right, so let's see. So our dance traced back to the African soil, which you was talking about earlier. Which ancestry connections do you feel most when you move?
Let me tell you something. I am Africa. I am Junkanoo. Africa is me and I am it. Right? So you can't, for me, I don't think you can talk about Africa and yeah, it's split up in so many countries and all of that.
Right.
But who we are as people of the diaspora, it's just, it's just, you know, it's a beautiful thing, right? So to say I connect with one aspect, that's you know, all us one people, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And over time and place and circumstance, we are now connected through blood, we're connected through the spirit, we're connected in so many different ways. So you know, so it's just
different
hard.
color. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's hard to say I connect more with this than that.
Yeah. I got you.
I hope that makes sense, you know.
Well, once the audience got that. And by the way, we talk about the audience. Folks out there, you're welcome to ask questions, comment in the chat, and what have you. Because like I said, we get a wealth of knowledge here. I ain't gonna say the winningest, but you know, that's what we used to say in the old school. But you know, that's only two groups I ever follow in Junkanoo, and that was the Saxons and One Family. So
thank you very much. I'm familiar with both of those groups.
Yeah. And maybe only because I played on the park a little bit when I was small. So
yeah,
maybe that's the connection for me. I don't know. But bam, when my cursor gone, lost my cursor. All right. So boom. Did I say this one yet? No. Yeah. Wow. No, this okay. So how have Junkanoo steps evolved? And what do you really, excuse me, and what do they really mean?
I don't know if I fully understand the question, but I will.
Well, you know, back in the early days, you had newspaper and this, and then you move up, and then you had so your steps through the years of Junkanoo has changed, and the way people even dance somewhat have changed. Not really changed, but and you get dancing of you the individual, and you get dancing of the costumes. Yeah, and the costumes definitely have changed. Right?
Yeah, definitely. When I came up in Junkanoo, the way costumes were constructed back in my time when I started, it's totally different than the way it is now, right? Mm-hmm. Lead costumes and in those days were nowhere as big as they are as they are now. I don't even think we have lead costumes anymore. I think we have giant floats, right? So we have floats now. We don't have lead costumes anymore. That's a thing of the past. The manner in which we constructed the materials that we use were totally different. You know, I was on the radio show that me and two other people do on every Saturday morning. We were talking about it. You know, in those days, we used wooden strips to strengthen the back of the costume.
Right.
You'd get your cardboard, you'd draw one side, mark it down the middle, flip it on the other side. That gave you a backdrop. You mount that on wooden strips, lean it up, and then you start to come forward. That's Kite style, right?
Right.
Now we no longer use wooden strips, right? Everybody uses, so there's so many different types of materials now. We're using aluminum rods, and you're using styrofoam, and you're using all kinds of things, you know. So the complexity of the costumes and from a construction perspective has changed astronomically. Totally.
Right.
From the way we layer these costumes or cover these costumes now, yes, I mean, that is without question. We have seen a huge shift in what we use to cover these costumes now. Back in those days, our primary covering was crepe paper,
right?
Cut crepe paper,
paper
cut by hand.
Yeah.
Now you have some jungle groups who don't even cut.
What?
They don't even use crepe paper.
You should make that a rule that you have to cut some part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were in parade, so that's. So I don't know what I don't know what we're doing in terms
Yeah.
of preserving the unique art form that we have. No, we're not the only people that use crepe paper, but there's a
The
theory that
manner you
the,
which you
the
use
manner
it.
in which we use it makes
Yeah.
our way unique.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an art form that has been bastardized and has been just in my mind neglected. So my concern with that is, somebody else will pick it up and then tell us what we should be doing with Junkanoo. And that would be a great travesty. And now you're talking about now moving from that, we could talk about, I guess, the way we move in Junkanoo now, because now, we have huge choreographed sections, and that started to happen. I can't remember how far. I'm not good with dates. That ain't my gift, right?
Yeah.
I want to say how I believe it started, but I won't go there, right? So now, there's so many ways in which we have massive choreographed sections. We have people doing this thing and that thing. So even from an evolutionary perspective, Junkanoo has gone through a lot of steps, a lot of changes, so to speak. Some of them, I guess, good, and some of them not so good at all. To the point now where we're in a situation where I think, to some extent, we are struggling to identify what Junkanoo is, what it's supposed to look like, how do we manage these parades, so to speak. Because like I said earlier, what we see on Bay Street isn't Junkanoo. That's the Junkanoo parade, a manifestation of what Junkanoo has created.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess you're seeing it on the TV, then you wouldn't be able to really see the finer details of what used to be.
No.
And stuff like that. So with these newer costumes, though, does it allow you to reflect your movements? Because I know costumes. I always just used to want to see them coming up a street, and you used to hear the costume before you hear the music kind of thing. But you knew what the music was, so the music was in your head.
Right.
And you used to see the costume moving, and so you used to know, that was the beat of the music that was in your head, and you could identify with that. But then it seemed like something went astray in the middle, and now it looked like it synchronizing again. So is it the adjustment of the costumes is helping? Because these groups are huge, and so this separation, I'm not for the separation of music and the performance.
A couple of things have happened. The costumes have gotten bigger, so that slows down the parade in many respects, right? If you go back decades, Junkanoo is, in my mind, is supposed to be an expression in many respects of dance, right?
Right.
It was a dance parade. We don't have so much of a dance parade right now. If you go back to tapes of, say, the 1980s, totally different kind of movement.
I thought that's because you was getting older, and people like you was getting older, and y'all just slowing down.
No. The costumes have gotten bigger, and in many respects, they don't lead to as much movement as it used to be, because the costumes were smaller, so you were able to move and navigate the road better. Sorry, not more.
Right, I get you.
But now
and more, because now with the big costume, you can't even go across left, right, whatever.
No, so we don't have we have floats now. So that's what we had. That's what it is. That's what we've relegated ourselves to. So we are now, for the most part, a float parade.
Macy's.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
No, I mean that's what people call a float parade.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I was looking for some of the pictures I had, but somehow I couldn't find them in my drive of 50,000 pictures that not organized. Cool. So why is dance the soul of Junkanoo? You just said that it started from that, and not just the visuals and the sound. Because I believe that there is no Junkanoo without the music.
100%. There's no music. There's no Junkanoo without the goat skin drum. For me, that is
fundamental.
That's it. That's
the cornerstone.
That's it. You have to have that. And the sound gives life to the movement.
Mm-hmm.
The movement is expressed in dance, right? So one, in my mind, one feeds directly off of the other.
Right.
It's like a male and a female,
The
right?
Trinity. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he gives his energy and she responds to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it so beautiful. Two different spirits coming in two different energies celebrating as one.
Right. And then you get the triune God. So when you add them all together, then you get a Trinity to meet the Junkanoo, the sound, the visuals, and the performance.
Yeah.
Three of those things together.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So how was the movement being a protest? We going touched on your activism type thing. Some people say it's silent, and some people say it's not. Right. Because your themes, I mean, I made some suggestions to you a couple of years back, if you remember, about what should be the theme structure in terms of the one on Boxing Day should be a theme that everybody
The same theme everybody
the
does.
theme, right, and then the other one would be the one on Boxing Day would be you have to pick something that happened that year in the Bahamas, and put the replica of that on Bay Street, and then the one on New Year's Day would be the same theme, and then we now to see how best you are able to deliver that
To
in
depict
all
it,
the
right?
different aspects. Yeah. That's my thought on it, but some of that would be protest. But sometimes you put some things out there, people don't see the subtleness to what is being said. Right?
You know, I had a mentor who used to, Hugh Jackson Burns. I always used to say, you better see what you're looking at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we just don't see what we're looking at, right? We don't know what we have, and we don't know the power of what we have.
Mm-hmm.
And those who understand the power of what we have and put something out there, the people who are looking at it don't know what it is
Right.
or
Yeah.
what it's worth, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, they caught up in the
Right?
dance. Mm-hmm.
So, we're at a point now where in Junkanoo where we have an opportunity to present themes. Some groups have been doing it for years, right? We have an opportunity to present themes that have stronger social messages,
Right.
that impact our communities in a deep way. But then you ask yourself, are we doing this at the risk of not being understood? Right?
I
And
guess
you
so.
ask yourself, if you're misunderstood, what placement would you get on a parade? If that's important to you, then you would keep it whatever.
Yeah.
But if it isn't important, but if that isn't important to you, like some groups I know, it's not important to them. We can put it out there. The wise will understand,
Mm-hmm.
and the fools have no need to know. And I don't
Yeah.
want to put it like that, but that's the
No,
fact.
I guess what you're saying, but I guess that goes back to the identity of what is Junkanoo, right? Because is it a competition or is it an art? It
Is
is
it a
not.
competition?
It's not both. Yeah. It's like,
But I don't know. So
I mean, it's both. It's some that is one of the. It could be both to somebody, but
Junkanoo is not a competition. The
I know.
Junkanoo parades are forged in competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because there is a clear, distinct difference.
Yeah, but that's how we design them.
Right? So is the Junkanoo parades a competition? 1,000%. They will not exist without, as far as I can see at this dispensation, right? They will not exist without a competition. You know why? Because for the most part, for decades and decades and decades, it has only been about a competition.
Yeah, but that's where innovation come in, right?
Right? So now, I can ask you, if you take the competitive environment out, what do you have? What would the parades look like? What will they reflect the same creativity as they do now or not?
I will say yes if we understand the why we do the Junkanoo, right? So the competition is a vehicle to the why,
So what do you think is a why?
right? And so one of the big things I think with the why is that we have the younger generations who feel disenfranchised, who get to express themselves without being mothered every day by their people, right? Who they come in contact with, right? And
Go on.
they're able to express themselves. That's one set of people. And we have people talk about, oh, this is a lost generation and stuff. So when they're out there, they're not lost. They show their creativity in the shack. They bring it to Bay Street. They perform. So they're on their high. They're on the, and I ain't talking about high from no drugs and then just high from the doing, right? That what they able to put on the plate. And so that's their why. Then there's the other ones who got the part where they looking for them dead presidents, them green presidents that go on one thing with
Money.
Marlon and money and all that kind of stuff, right? But my thing is that you know what moves people. So
What moves
you just
people?
you
What
have to
moves
find.
people? And I can challenge you on that. What moves people?
For voice for men want to be respected. That's
Yeah,
off the top,
100%,
right?
yeah.
Right. So if they're not feeling respected, then nothing happening. You would never connect with them, as a way, right? But they have to be able to show also how man they are, right? In whatever form that is for them to do, right? Whether it's them on the basketball court or in the operas or the plays or whatever it is, they want to show that they could achieve things that you don't believe that they could ever achieve. They want to show you that. That's why we have to. Go ahead.
Sorry, you asked the question earlier. You asked me about the scripture gifts. Put that right there for a minute. And then you also said something about people say that this generation is lost.
Right.
They ain't lost, they're
I
just
know.
unfound. Let
Exactly.
me tell you what I mean by that. Unless
You froze. Either you freeze or I freeze. Somebody freeze. Nobody move. Nobody get hurt. Folks, if you're out there, be sure, please, ask your questions. Because we want these conversations to be able to interact with you and to be meaningful to you, so that you would want us to continue on some of these subjects that we come up with and so forth. So Darren, you might have to come out and come back in. My phone. I can't reach my phone. He's frozen a bit. But yes, what I was saying in terms of whilst we wait for Darren to come back, that people want to do their best. They want to be able to achieve their best. They want to be able to find ways that at the end of the day, through whatever platform you want to have or belief system you want to have, and whatever the syntax or nomenclature it is, you want somebody to be able to say good and faithful soldier to you, right?
yeah, we lost connection with Simon.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so you started to talk about your piece, and I was just highlighting to people that one of the things we were talking about is you people want to do their best, right? And they need to do it in alignment with their creator. Put them on the side to do. And when they could do that,
You know why people participate in this thing called Junkanoo with all that they have, and then they come off of Bay Street and swear they're not gonna do it next year, and then January 10th they say, "But when we getting back in the shack," you understand why that happens?
You know, man, I guess it's the same thing with baseball. When my knees started going and you're still playing, you end up the next year you'll be right back there.
Yeah, Junkanoo connects us in a way where I guess it's part of Maslow's theory as well, talking about self-actualization and stuff like
Right.
that, right? Because you spend months and months and months and months creating these, I mean, these masterful works of art, right? And I mean, you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have none of that.
Yeah.
All you have to do is be
You.
a disciple, right? Or you, right? And it's almost like this is transferred like through air, you know what I mean? Because you learn the skill, but in producing these works, these beautiful works of art, you connect. There's a connection in there that feeds your own soul, and you put this thing on, and you're like, oh,
Right.
this ain't the costume. This me,
Right. Right.
right? This me. This is an extension of who I am, who I is, so to speak.
Yep.
And yes, it's hard work. It's pain. It's blood, sweat, and tears, and all of that stuff. But layered under all of that is fulfillment, joy, satisfaction, and love. And that's why people continue to do it every year.
And I believe it's a healing thing, right? Because when you could be in your total space of your purpose, then you will be at peace. And that is the most tranquil space that your body, mind, and soul connects. And that's, you become a dot. As there's no big triangle or nothing. You just a dot. Everything in alignment, right? And so forth. And so one of the things that bewilders me to Bass, is people who run businesses and stuff like that don't understand that if you put a person in their space, their production is going to be so high that you don't need to be doing nothing to run behind them, to micromanage them or anything like that. They running and they in a line with just your goals and they doing and they feeling satisfied and accomplished in what they're doing. They can just keep going, right? And they run way past their vacations, and I did it at that place. Cost me to end up in one hospital one time, but when they just say
You're
just
here,
keep
right?
going. Yeah.
So
But my point is that you could get into a frenzy in almost any place if you were getting into your spirit, into what the good Lord put us here. Whether it's your, we call
If you
them
find your
or
calling.
whatever calling, right? Yeah,
you find the calling. I think that's a challenge for any company, right? One of my other mentors, Arlene Ferguson, she always says, and it's very true. She says, every subject that you can imagine, we use it in Junkanoo.
Yeah.
So if you translate that in another way, we work in these companies as you have so aptly articulated, and we have these tasks to do, right? I believe the genius for productivity is finding ways to get these tasks executed in a language, spiritual language, that the people who have to do it understand and appreciate.
Right. Yeah.
If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah. You got to connect. Yeah.
Gotta connect.
Cool. So can you share when that a dance helped you heal or your community?
I'll tell you a time. I can speak specifically for. Well, let me speak to. There was a boxing on New Year's. There was a New Year's Day parade. A member of my family was critically ill, and we had to deal with that. And I remember going to Junkanoo because that was the only space I had at that time to where I feel I would be able to free myself of the burden that I was carrying. And I remember going to that parade. I was dog tired. I was saying to myself, I don't know how I can go through this. I don't know how I'm going to survive this. Literally, I'm saying I don't know how I'm going to survive this. I was totally exhausted. just out of it.
Right.
And then the drums started and the energy started to build. And I lost myself
Right.
in this wave and this wave of energy, if only for a minute,
Right.
if only for an hour, only for the length of that parade. And that there was comforting for me and it was healing for me based on what we were going through as a family during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. I understand it very well because I remember when my beloved died and I went on the ballpark and people would say, "What get into you, boy? You hitting this ball all over the park, out the park, left, right, and center, and whatever you want. You get into a space after being so pressured or under a chaotic environment where people threaten, oh, what we can do, and what happens when people die,
What
and
happens
so
when
forth.
people
But you
die?
just,
Wow.
yeah, cool. All right, so we're running a little bit behind, but this good stuff here. So folks, don't forget if you get any comments or questions that you want of this good fella here, to ask them. So, how does Russian impact your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being?
Well, before I answer, I gotta answer that like this. Let's prepare for what happens before. Let's answer what happens before the rush, right?
Oh, gee.
You go through this.
That's an hour by itself.
You go, yeah, that's an hour, right? You go through various phases of mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Because I always say that I believe that what happens in the shacks, for the most part, or for a significant part, is like the middle passage, right? Because there's so much work to be done. There's so much hardship to endure. Getting these costumes ready, working with this person and that person, pulling teams together and making sure this is done on time, and then trying to find money and this, that, and the next thing. So you go through so many phases of hardship, so to speak, right? And then the middle passage is over and you're in a new place where it may not be as difficult, but there's a space now for you to find yourself. And that's on Bay Street, right? And all of that frustration that you would have faced during the quote unquote middle passage, all that hardship that you would have faced sort of disappears and it goes to nothing. Because there's this feeling of euphoria and you're mentally free. You're less stressed. You're emotionally engaged positively. And, you're just in a different realm altogether. So rushing has helped that.
Awesome.
Me personally.
Right. So can it all this movement help our youth manage their pressure, pain, and or their purpose? I always say baseball did it for me, and I saw it do it for plenty of other people. Where it helps you identify your purpose and how to navigate life, because everything that happens in life happens in team sports.
Yeah,
I see Junkanoo as another team sport.
Yeah, Junkanoo is definitely one of those areas where, well, spaces, not areas, where you have an opportunity to really find yourself in many respects. There isn't anything in life that you may experience that you won't find in Junkanoo or won't have an opportunity to, I had the good fortune of going to university, right? When you talk about finding purpose, you come back and you have these degrees or whatever, then you get into Junkanoo and you say you're in leadership, so these things, but nothing that you learn in university can prepare you for what happens in Junkanoo. So it's a different type of learning. It's you have the ability to expand the quote unquote knowledge that you think you have and apply it somewhere else, and you learn new things. So for me, when you talk about how can Junkanoo help the youth to manage their pressure, their pain, and their purpose, to help find their purpose, that is what I would really say. That Junkanoo is a good space for youth to find themselves freely, so to speak.
Cool. So let's just speed up a little bit. So, when teaching the youth, how do you explain the meaning behind the movement?
I think when you talk about what Junkanoo is and why it is and why it's important in my mind, for the younger people to understand that it is not a competition. It is, while the parades are steeped in competition, Junkanoo is not a competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true connection between where we came from, we generally speaking,
Right.
where we are now, and the obligation that we have as children of the diaspora to maintain and uphold certain legacies, certain things that are important to people of our hue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain ways that we ought to identify, how we identify and how we should conduct ourselves. Junkanoo has that kind of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
People talk about carnival and Junkanoo and this, that, and whatnot. But carnival is a different spirit, it's a different energy than Junkanoo. Junkanoo is about putting on rather than taking off.
Okay.
There's so many stories.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I think it's important for not just the youth, but anybody who pick up the mantle of understanding what Junkanoo is, and even if you just decide to participate in the parade, you have to understand why it is that we do what we do. And I think you'd have a better appreciation for the whole space itself.
Cool. And that, and I always say people follow people, and just like you mentioned Jackson Burnside and then Arlene being a mentor, etc. People follow you, and people follow Rory and everybody else out there who have seniority on them and a little bit of wisdom in the background, right? And so that spirit just keeps passing on. But sometimes we get this false idea because people are in positions of authority or a position or have a title that they mean that somebody following them. And they turn around and look and they find out, our politicians are the ones who find it out the hardest. They go through this world of believing in delusion that people following them, and then election come and whop, landslide, the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Right? So people follow people. So if you could pass through one lesson of dance, to the sacred cultural power, what would it be?
Wow, that's a hard question. I don't know if there could be one lesson. I think.
Well, that's why I say pick one. That's what I mean.
I think.
And I know it's plenty.
I think understanding your why.
Okay.
Understanding your why. Because the why, if you understand your why, you find the answers to everything that is you. That is you, period.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand your why, then life is different.
Yeah.
Because you've been given purpose then. I understand why. So now I have a new purpose. I have my reason for being.
Yeah.
That's how I would answer that.
And that why will drive you through any obstacle and pain and whatever, because you're just driven by an external force that coming through you.
Your why leads you to your knowing. Your knowing leads you to self. The knowledge of self.
So how do we 10x this impact that Junkanoo has on development? Because we're still a young country. We're only 50 plus one, right? As an independent nation. Granted, we've been around longer than that. But we got plenty of things to learn. And I still see people today saying that, oh, well, it's been like this for 50 plus years, or blah, 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 and stuff. And I'm like,
that doesn't make it right.
It doesn't have, it has not even been like this So let's not get fooled to believe that what you see today is what it was when my mommy was living in Chippenham with a couple of people. NASA had 60,000 people, and so forth. Right? There's many dynamics that was different, and some things here are still the same, but we're only 50 plus 1.
Yeah.
How do we 10x this so that we don't have to wait as long for the next set of?
It goes right back to the question that we answered previously. Understanding what it is we have, why, and our why for being connected with this what, right? Because if we have an appreciation, it's just like friendship, right? I have an appreciation for you. I know why we have why we respect each other in the manner in which we do, right? So I don't question. I don't question that. I have no brief with that. But that this thing called Junkanoo, we have to understand we have this gift. Why do we have this? How it is that we have this? What do we do with this? It ain't just, okay, we're going to pay some costumes, we get on Bay Street, we can have an experience, and then that's the end of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We have to understand, have a deeper understanding and appreciation for what we have and why we have to do. Keep it sacred.
Awesome. So, folks, we've been watching something to think about with Dale Happy Knows, and I have Darren D. Bastian, the chairman, the man of the plan with all of the movements on Bay Street. I want to see that in, what used to call it, hologram? A couple of years down the road. I want to see that still be moving. Yeah. We get the LeBron spirit going and keep going. Going. And Darren, I want to really thank you for taking the time to come on the show and share these nuggets with people, because I believe that when we are able to get into our purpose, this country is going to grow from leaps and bounds, because the more we put people in their purpose, the more they want to be productive.
Right? They will be.
And they will be. And these things like Junkanoo is just another avenue to do it, but we need to find a way to not commercialize it as such, but find ways that help us do whatever it is that we do in order to sustain ourselves.
Yeah. 100%.
Cool.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here and speak with you and your listeners. And it's a beautiful world. I think we just need to give Junkanoo the space it needs, the honor in the space that it needs, and understand the why. The why drives the purpose.
Awesome. So we got to bring you back to talk about something else, but when we get down there, we'll do that. Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you again
very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
So you've been watching Something to Think About with Dale Happy Knows, and we'd like to thank you for joining us and listening to all of the good nuggets that was put on the table today. We hope you found value in it, and you were able to use information that you get out of it for your purpose and to make you be stronger and more vibrant in achieving the goals that you have. Like I said earlier, for Junkanoo, that's Darren No Space, but for baseball, for me, when I got in that zone, there was nobody on that mound. Excuse me, whether it was 6'10" or whatever, throwing 120 mile an hour fastballs, they wasn't getting it past me. So you just find your purpose, your space, and then you will see success coming from you all the way. And as we say, we deal with sunshine, sea, people, and digital. Make your people skills the best. Find a mentor, find a cheerleader, and find out how you could use them or embrace them so that you could advance yourself and your nation. Till next week, when we have another provocative guest, we'll see you then.
Enjoyed the show? Then subscribe to us for more educational and inspirational content. Ring the bell so you never miss a show. Let's change the narrative, 242.